This is the way it feels to move through summer in Lululemon. Iconic Align softness without the front seam. For our smoothest look and feel ever, summer won't know what hit it. Stretch your limits in the non-stop flexibility of the new Lululemon Align No-Line Pant in select stores and at Lululemon.com.
Hello, and welcome to It's a Fandom Thing. I'm your host, Erin Marlowe, and each week I'm joined by a panel of guests to discuss all things fandom and pop culture, primarily from a female perspective. You'll find everything from fanfic, to cosplay, to Schitt's Creek, to Supernatural, and everything in between. So put on your favorite piece of fandom merch, set aside that fanfic that you're writing about your OTP, and sit back and enjoy this week's episode. Hello, and welcome to It's a Fandom Thing. I'm your host, Erin Marlowe, and on this episode, we are going to be talking about some 80s movies that traumatized us. And joining me for this episode is the host of OK Real Quick Pod, Carla. Hello, Carla.
Hello, Erin.
Also joining me is Tiff. Hello, Tiff.
Hey, hello. How's it going, everybody?
Thank you both for joining me for this one. So I'm going to give some trigger warnings, and I don't know what Tiff and Carla are going to be talking about. So please feel free to type it in the chat if you want to, if there are some trigger warnings that I should make sure to mention for any of the movies that you're going to bring up. But I will give trigger warnings for nuclear war, for death, for maybe for animal deaths, for just lots of pain and suffering.
The greatest hits of the 80s.
Yeah. Animals hurting. Yes. Pain, suffering, the greatest hits. Everything that you could possibly imagine that's terrible happening. No, I don't know. There's a broad trigger warning for you. But what I first want to know is, Carla, what was the first film you remember traumatizing you in some way?
Well, I am so glad you asked, because I've been dying to get this off my chest for 40-something years. Okay, so I was but a wee lass, living my life in Mexico, just watching TV with my family, and then suddenly on the television comes this movie, and I'm like, oh, awesome, it's a movie about a little boy with wings. And as somebody who has always wanted to fly independent of aluminum tubes, I was very into it. So start watching it, I'm like, oh, this is cute. It's this tiny little baby boy. And he's not actually a baby. He's like 6 or 7. Okay. But anyway, so he grows wings, and his parents are like, what? So they take him to the doctor because this isn't normal. The doctors are like, indeed, it is not normal. And the mom's like, hey, can you cut them off so that, he doesn't have these weird wings coming out of his back? And they're like, sure. So then they do that. And then, so he has these little stumps that are covered with bandages, but the bandage is bleeding through because they cut off his wings. And he wants to go back to his parents, and his parents want him back. And his mom's like, I want him back, wings or not. I don't care, because now they're keeping him from his parents because they want to study him further. So he runs away, and then he's talking to this dude, and then somebody takes a picture of him and sells the picture. And now everybody knows that Toby has wings. So now everybody's like, hey, this little boy has wings. Let's talk about it, and let's examine him like a little animal. And the parents are like, no, he's our child. So there's this whole scene with paparazzi outside of his door, and he's just trying to lead his little baby boy angelic life. And then other things happen, and I think it's his mom who decides, hey, let's lean hard into this, and we'll take you on exhibitions, and people can see your wings. And Toby's like, I've had it with everybody. I am done. So he goes to the top of a tower, and he flies away.
I've never even heard of this movie.
Oh, it's a movie from Spain. I should have prefaced it. It's a movie from Spain. And yeah, so I was traumatized because baby boy wings getting cut off.
I was so confused for a second. I was like, wait, what's the name of the movie?
I know. What is the name of the movie?
Toby.
Did you say? Oh, it is Toby. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, just, perfectly normal movie about little boys getting their wings cut off and then flying away from their parents. And yeah, that was great for me, for my psyche as a child. I don't think about it on a regular basis.
Yeah, because I was like, I have not heard of this movie. You're describing it. I'm like, I must have missed this one somehow. And now,
Yeah. I'm very glad for you that you've never heard of this movie.
I can understand why that would traumatize you. See, with stuff like that was in 80s films all the time, though, where it was like,
Yes.
this is just nothing.
Like, no big deal. Don't worry. Why are you so freaked out about this? It's just a little boy getting part of his body cut off. And then it goes back and people want to turn him into an exhibition. Why are you scared?
Yeah. So, Tiff, what was the first one for you?
I'm traumatized by phobia, apparently. Oh my gosh, I'm so scared.
Retroactive trauma.
Mine was, and I remember seeing this in the theater, An American Tale with my mom. She took me there to see it. And I was like Carla, but a wee young thing, a wee young Tiff in the movie theater, looking forward to this little mouse, gung-ho, excited about coming to America. But what I didn't realize was that they were fleeing Russia because they were Jewish mice. And the cats were the Cossacks, and they came in and they decimated their neighborhood. And that's why they had to flee to America. And then they thought that America had no cat. That's why America did have cats. And they were still persecuted because they were Jewish mice. And Fievel actually fell off the ship and got put into, and only was survived because he was in a bottle and he floated to New York, and then he was separated from his family. And yeah. And then the all-time great tune, Somewhere Out There, which is like the saddest song ever, Beneath the Pale Moonlight. Oh my gosh, I'm tearing up just thinking about it. I'm sorry, I'm getting misty. And then on the soundtrack, it was sung by the late great James Ingram and Linda Ronstadt, and it got turned into like a super big hit. It's really a lovely song if you hear them. But in the movie, of course, it's the two much voices singing it, and it's so sad, y'all. It's just so sad. Anyway, I was incredibly traumatized because I was once again but a wee young Tiff, and it hurt my heart very much.
I've watched the movie exactly once. I could never watch it again.
A lot of cartoons were very traumatizing in the 80s.
Yes. Yeah. They were like, hey, you know what? This is character building. You all can deal with it. You're 80s children. Deal with it.
Yeah. We were tougher than all the other children. We were treated like that.
Unwillingly,
right?
but yeah.
Exactly. Mine is much darker than what's been mentioned. But
How?
It's the TV movie The Day After, which I don't know if either Tiff or Carla ever saw this TV movie, but this is a movie about the effects of a devastating nuclear holocaust on a small town in Kansas. So this is about nuclear war. This was such a huge thing. I'm going to post a link probably in our Discord. So go join our Discord of a YouTube video that was on one of the affiliates of the broadcast network that it was on, talking about how this was such a huge thing that in Times Square was like desolate, and people were like, movie ticket sales dropped that day. People were watching this in bars. This show was huge, and this movie was such a big deal. And I'm guessing that by the reactions that neither of you have seen this movie, which is just, I remember vividly watching this. I remember where I was living. I remember everything about this movie.
Yeah, it
Oh
came out
my.
before I moved here. And I don't think that they showed it in Mexico, at least that my mom let me watch. Even though I got to watch Toby, but you know. She drew the line somewhere.
Did you watch this, Tiff?
You know what? I don't recall this at all. So I don't think I did. I don't think that this was on the Tiff's parents' radar for her to watch.
Well, it first aired on November 20th, 1983 on ABC. It was more than 100 million people and nearly 39 million households watched it. It had a 46 rating and a 62% share of the viewing audience during its initial broadcast. The film was the 7th highest rated non-sports show until then, and in 2009, the Nielsen list, it was one of the highest rated television films in history. And it was broadcast on Soviet state television in 1987 during the negotiations on Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty, and the producers demanded the Russian translation conform to the original script and the broadcast not be interrupted by commentary. So this was like a huge thing.
Holy smokes.
Like this video that I was watching today from a broadcast on some ABC affiliate, and they were talking to this woman who was a teacher, and she's like, well, I'm watching this because I'm sure my kids in the classroom are going to have questions about this tomorrow. And then they had this family that was watching it with their 11-year-old, but they're like, our 8 and 2-year-old are too young. I was younger than 8 years old when this movie came out, and I remember watching it because we lived in like the top part of this old Victorian house, and the woman downstairs was watching us that day, and we were watching this together, little kids. And I was so scared forever. I was scared for years that this was going to happen at any moment because it's really terrifying movie. I haven't watched it, of course, since I was a kid, so I don't know if it still would be as terrifying. But yeah, it was, yeah. Yeah, the little girl they were interviewing in this video was like, yeah, if this happens, I don't want to be there for a nuclear winter. I just want to die right away.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Like this little 11-year-old kid. So that was the first one. That's why I said mine is darker than what's been mentioned.
Like just a little bit.
Just a skosh.
Yeah, just a little tiny, tiny bit. So we are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're just going to do some back and forth. So we're going to do about 3 rounds of just mentioning some more movies that traumatized us. So we'll be right back.
The Abercrombie Kids Summer Sale is in full swing, with up to 50% off select styles for the season. Summer plans, vacation, and camp days are all covered, with new dresses, shorts, tees, and swim. Abercrombie Kids has the summer staples they need and the looks that they want to wear. Shop in-store, online, or in the app. Offer applies to select styles as indicated. Discount applied at checkout online.
So, Carla, what's another movie that traumatized you?
Well, the movie Beaches. And let me tell you, it is one of my favorite movies. I've watched it I don't know how many times. And I don't really like dramas. I don't like movies that make me want to cry. But this one makes me want to cry. But I still watch it over and over again because, you know, there's beautiful singing in it. I love the story. I love the friendship in it. But, I mean, okay, first of all, the movie's from the 80s. So if you haven't watched it, you know, I don't know what to tell you because I'm going to tell you what happens. That the best friend, so they've been estranged for a while, and one of the friends takes her kid to the other friend, and she's like, here's a daughter for you. And the girl's like, what? And she's like, yeah, because I'm dying. It's like, oh, noted. Okay, cool. No problem. Yes, I will take care of your child because you're dying. And then they flash back to when they met and when they were kids, and it's the growing up and like all of their adventures, and like how one of them became like really serious and the other one was just a dreamer who wanted to be a singer. And then, yeah, the serious one who grew up and had like the ordinary life with like a child and everything. Yeah, she dies. And it is devastating. It is one of the most depressing movies you have ever watched, but the soundtrack is amazing.
You ever know? Yeah.
You're everything I would like to.
Bette Midler was in her bag, though, for that movie. She was in her bag.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Miss Midler.
That's like one of her best performances ever.
It really
She's had
is.
some like really amazing ones, but that one was just blew it out of the water. And, you know, traumatized a few of us in the wake of it. No problem.
No problems. It's the 80s. It's fine.
Yeah. They'll be fine.
Yeah.
So Tiff.
Well, you know what? Let's keep that train rolling with the late 80s sadness and absolute powerhouse performances. And let's go with Steel Magnolias, which I watched with my mother. And the cast is just bonkers bananas good. I mean, you've got a young, vivacious Julia Roberts. You've got Miss Sally Field. You've got Olympia Dukakis and Miss Dolly Parton. Hello. Daryl Hannah, Shirley, not MacLaine.
Yeah, Shirley MacLaine's in it.
It was Shirley MacLaine. Sorry. Yeah, Shirley MacLaine. Yeah. So this cast is just cool, good. And it's about the friendship, the bonds of friendship and the beauty of these Southern women just, sipping juniper iced teas and, doing hair. And Miss Dolly Parton says, spandex hasn't left these hips since she was like 10 years old outside, which I love that. That was hilarious because she was looking at this woman dancing at the wedding. And it did look like 2 Christmas hams under polyester blend. So, yeah. But long story short, of course, somebody is ill, and that's Shelby, played by Julia Roberts. She has a very aggressive form of diabetes, and against everybody's advice, against medical advice, she gets pregnant after she gets married, of course, and they're so excited. But her mother, played by Sally Field, whose name is Malin, which is so Southern. Oh my gosh. Lynn. Malin is so angry and so mad. And I felt so bad for Shelby in that moment when she tells her mom, and her mother just literally just walks away. Like stone face, turns and walks away. And I've never felt so badly for somebody that was sharing pregnancy news and who was so excited. I was so devastated for her. But of course, her mother was right. Of course she was. And Shelby, after she gets, a kidney, Malin gives her a kidney and everything looking great. And the baby is only like 18 months old and he's becoming a toddler and it's so awesome and amazing. And of course, she falls into a coma and she never wakes up. And they take her off life support. And that after funeral scene is some of the best acting I have ever seen in my life. Sally Field was I've never seen such power in a small package. Just, oh my goodness, when she's like, I'm fine. And she's walking away. Just, the devastation. Yeah, every time I watch that movie, it's just like a punch in the gut.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, I agree. I have watched that movie so many times. I have parts of it memorized. I also have the whole scene where Shelby says that she's pregnant and the whole conversation with her mom in the kitchen when her mom is like baking and cracking the eggs. And that whole exchange there, I actually, in high school, as part of like drama, did that whole scene. So yeah, so I have that whole part like memorized. Like every time I watch it, I could like mouth along the words. But yeah, that movie was pretty traumatizing just because you really didn't think they were going to kill the daughter. You're like, they're not going to let her die. She's not going to actually die. It'll be like a close call, but they're not really.
Right.
Yeah. There's going to be.
And then somebody finds a cure for diabetes and she lives forever, naturally.
Exactly. There's always going to be a happily ever after. Yeah, there was no happily ever after.
Yeah. Yeah, but that graveyard scene is so good. And then especially when Olympia Dukakis is like, you want to hit someone? Hit her. And just her character, like her. It's so well done. Yeah, everyone is so good in that movie. And
Clarice, are you high?
Yeah. And I cry without fail every time I, watch that movie. So, yeah. Well, I'll keep that train of death going.
The train of death. I didn't watch that one.
So the next one I'm going to choose is Terms of Endearment. And, if you haven't seen this, of course, another spoiler, but this is also a Shirley MacLaine movie, and Deborah Winger and Jack Nicholson and also Jeff Daniels and John Lithgow and, a bunch of people that were like big then. I'm not saying they're not big now, but, and it's all about Aurora and who's Shirley MacLaine's character and her relationship with her daughter Emma, who is Deborah Winger's character, and they have a strained relationship, then they don't, and they're back and forth. And then Emma Emma is diagnosed with cancer, terminal cancer, and dies. It's another one of those where it just pulls at your heartstrings, especially the fact that it seems like maybe mother and daughter are going to be okay. Everything is going to be good. And then there's more trauma for Aurora. And just, it's, again, powerhouse performances. Shirley MacLaine is such an incredible actress, such a good actress. And she's so good in this. And so is Deborah Winger as well. This one really sticks out with me with trauma because I saw this in the movie theater with my dad. My dad took me to see this movie. My dad, I very rarely ever saw him cry. He was sobbing. And I didn't know this. And this is when he chose to tell me. But the love of his life, this woman wasn't my mom. This woman that he met had died just like a month or so before this. And so he told me right after the movie, he's like, this is why I'm sobbing, because she just passed away. I didn't find out until much later. He said she died the same way that Deborah Winger's character did. It was something else. I didn't find out till later. And I understand why he didn't tell me then because I was a small kid. But that's why this movie will always stick out to me, because of that. So it traumatized me in a couple of different ways. So it's hot. Yeah. Sorry, I don't mean to bring it into a heavy space there, but
we're all doing this. We're all doing this to ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're leaning into it. We're leaning into the hurt.
Okay, Carla, what's your next one?
Okay, my next one. I don't know if everybody remembers this movie, but of course I do, because it is deeply ingrained into my system. In 1987, there was an animated movie that I think Toy Story cribbed off of, and the movie is called The Brave Little Toaster. And it's about how appliances and other household items come alive when humans aren't around, and then they revert back to their inanimate functional selves when the humans are there. And of course you have the brave little toaster. The reason that the toaster was brave is because it basically sacrificed itself to save one of its little appliance friends. It's oh my God. The tagline for the poster says "plug into the adventure," as if it's just like some fun romp. You know, this cute little toaster. It's just gonna do cute little toaster things. Maybe it'll burn some bread. I don't know. Maybe he'll get a cute little electrical shore to become friends with the flames. Tee-hee! No. Brave little toaster basically throws itself off a cliff because it's brave. And you're expected to just watch the movie and then walk away from it, not completely traumatized. Because everything's fine. Everything's okay, everybody. It's all right. Absolutely no problem there. There's the toaster. There's a desk lamp named Lampy. How cute is that? There's a blanket named Blanky. Okay, they gave cute names to all of these things that are going to eventually traumatize you. Yeah, no problem. You can absolutely just watch this movie and then move on with your life. Why not? Why not? Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, if you want to, send your therapy bills to somebody, it should be sent to whoever the hell made this. Because it was, okay, I'm going to tell you, you can send it to Hyperion Pictures. I don't even know if they still exist, but that's who you can send your bill to. Because I know that I have a lot of leftover what the hell from having watched this movie at a tender, susceptible age. Because I watched immediately when it came out, because I was like, how cute, a little toaster, and it's brave. I'm all in. And then, yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. When you look up lists of the most traumatizing movies from the 80s, The Brave Little Toaster always makes that list. And I'm sure people that are looking are like, how in the hell is this going to be a traumatic movie? It's about a toaster. Nothing can be traumatic about a toaster.
And then you watch the movie and you're like, got it. Fully understand now. Oh my God, I cried so hard when I watched that movie. I was inconsolable for days.
Death was just the theme of the 80s, I guess. They just wanted everybody to just suffer.
Yes. Okay, let me read you this little thing. it says, okay, so they're on a conveyor belt and Toaster is trying to rescue his friends. Okay, but the magnet picks them all up and drops them back on the belt. Toaster jumps into the crusher's gears, stopping it just before it flattens Rob and the others, but is badly mangled in the process. Because absolutely, why not? We're kids. We bounce back easily.
Why not? Yeah, exactly. We're 80s kids. We're tougher than the rest.
Yes. None of this Toy Story crap where everybody comes out happy in the end.
Yeah. So, Tiff.
Clearly, producers, writers were like, these kids are built for tough. They don't need therapy. They don't need
tough
psychoanalysis.
They'll be fine.
They'll be fine. Everything is okay. Let's give them another one. You know what? Also from 1987, Benji the Hunted. Benji the Hunted.
Just those words together. It's like...
Let me tell you about Benji the Hunted. Because, see, I have the full Benji oeuvre on DVD. So don't laugh at me. I love these movies so much. They are amazing. But Benji the Hunted has a tender spot in my heart because the synopsis is when a shipwreck separates the courageous dog Benji from his trainer, the crafty canine must brave the dangers of an island wilderness alone. As Benji avoids winding up the meal of bears and wolves, the resourceful mutt comes across 4 cougar cubs left orphaned by a hunter who shot their mother. Unwilling to see the cubs exposed to the perilous environment, Benji puts himself in harm's way to protect the feline infants while searching for a safe haven. Let me tell you about this final scene with Benji. He literally, one of the cubs gets snatched up by an eagle. Do you understand what that is like? You see a cub getting snatched up by an eagle. Then Benji is trying to get the cubs to a cougar adoptive mother. And the cougar adoptive mother is not trying to feel it. She's not trying to hear it. She's not trying to see it. She's just going on about her business with her cub by herself. So Benji, he creates a diversion. He pushes down some leaves and a log so she can't get to where she wants to go. So it forces her to go back up the mountain. Then Benji scales the mountain 3 times with each cub to get to the top of the mountain because the cougar is at the top of the mountain and he's exhausted and he's tired. And then with beautiful music swelling in the background, oh my gosh, the cougar accepts. She accepts the cubs. She accepts the cubs. And it's so beautiful. I don't understand how beautiful it is. Just the music of it all. And then his trainer comes along on the helicopter. It's so gorgeous. It's so gorgeous. Oh my gosh. Benji the Hunted. I can't. I have to go.
Oh my gosh. But just the title, Benji the Hunted.
He's so brave. He's just so brave. And he's so courageous. And oh my gosh. I can only watch it like once every 15 years. It's just too much.
Oh my gosh. Well, I am cheating with this one because this movie technically came out in 1978, but I didn't watch it then. I watched it in the 80s, and I just consider it to be part of the 80s, and this is the only animated film of mine on this list, and that is the movie Watership Down. If you haven't seen Watership Down, this is actually not a kid's movie. I remember watching this when I was really young, and then years later, I was a teenager, and my sister and I were watching our younger cousin, who was just like 2 or something like that. And we're like, oh, let's rent this Watership Down that we haven't seen in forever. And we're watching this and we're like, this is so not a kid's movie. We probably shouldn't have rented this to show our young cousin. Because it really isn't. You see a lot of animals getting harmed and hurt, especially rabbits. And if you don't know, I'm afraid of rabbits. And most of these rabbits are good in this movie, but there is a terrifying rabbit in this movie. And I think that's where my fear of rabbits stems from. But if you don't know, this is an environmental movie. because yes, we were trying to fight climate change we've been fighting this for a long time. And the description is hoping to escape destruction by human developers and save their community. A colony of rabbits led by Hazel and Fiver seek out a safe place to set up a new warren. So a new home. And this movie opens with like this tale talking about, destruction by human beings and stuff that's coming down. And there's a river of blood that flows down over like this whole huge piece of land. So it's like from the very beginning of this animated film geared towards children, which is really not for children. There's just a sea of blood washing down the film.
My goodness.
The movie is so sad.
I keep forgetting that it's animated until you remind us. And that, because like, I'm just picturing it's like, regular 80s traumatic movie with Shirley MacLaine, because naturally, who else would it be?
You can watch this right now on HBO Max, by the way. I don't know if either of you have ever seen this movie. This is one of my favorite movies, though, but
I'm going to maintain my record of not having watched this movie.
it's a really well done movie. It's just super depressing. It's a great movie, though, for what the subject is. I mean, it's very, very like blatantly in your face. And this is from the late 70s. And it's based on a book, too. And they remade it. And I didn't see the remake on Netflix a few years ago. I never watched it, but I think it's really good. It's just very heavy and it's not for little kids, but I saw it as a little kid. It wrecked me. And I just remember that so vividly, like showing that to my young cousin, not really, I don't think comprehending, because I'm like, I was a little kid when I watched it. And then both my sister and I being like, this is not a little kid's movie. We should not be showing this to her. She's like 2, 3 years old. We're like, let's traumatize our cousin. So we just...
So then when your cousin starts a podcast...
My cousin traumatized me with movies. I'm like, hey, my babysitter traumatized me with movies, so I might as well pass it down. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so this is our last round. I know this is quick, but I also have one other thing we're going to talk about after this. But so, Carla, what's your third one?
Okay. I'm torn between two. I'm going to go... Okay, this is really tough. I'm going to go with RoboCop because we had just moved here from Mexico and my dad, he we were doing like a family outing. He was taking us to the movies. I was so excited because, hey, we're in a new country and we're going to see the movies. I love movies. Yay. What's this movie about? I don't know, but there's a guy in a metal suit. Sure. Why not? It looks kind of boring, but wait, what happens? Wait. And then they shoot him so much that his arm comes off. Okay. Yeah. No problem. No problem. No problem. So now you're telling me that they are giving him a robotic arm. Yeah. Okay. Sure. Tracks. Absolutely. Medical wonders. Yeah. Cool, cool, cool. Oh, and so now he's not himself anymore because he's basically dead, but the bird kind of brought him back just so he could be a cop in a robot suit. Can I win the lobby? No, you know what? I'm gonna sit through it because it's too late. I'm already traumatized and I will never get this movie out of my mind. So yes, ever since I watched that movie, I have not been able to get it out of my mind. And I think about it entirely too often because sometimes I don't really have the thing where like, oh, I'm going to sleep. There's a picture in my brain that is keeping me from falling asleep because it's something that I'm scared of that is fictional. I stay awake for real things, not fictional things, except for RoboCop. RoboCop is the one fictional thing that keeps me up at night. So, thanks, Dad.
Oh, man.
Like, wow.
I want to just ask really quickly, do you think, and I know this may sound like a sexist thing, but do you think dads are more prone to showing trauma films to their kids than moms?
Absolutely. And I'll tell you why.
Thank you.
It's because I think fathers just see something and they're like, hey, this looks like something we can share. We can share an experience of watching a movie together. Because they don't go and watch it beforehand. They just go and take you with them. And you can all experience the trauma at the same time. Whereas I think in general, moms, they might read about it. They might look for a synopsis and not just base it on the trailer. They might talk to other people who have seen it and been like, hey, should I take my child? No? Okay, I will keep my child home for this movie with arms being blown off. And also I think just in general, moms are better at like the emotional gauging of what will and won't traumatize their children.
Yeah, because I know like my mom we really wanted to see Dirty Dancing and my mom's like, no, I think that's going to be too sexual. So my mom went and saw it first and she's like, no, I'm fine with you seeing this. So, but she's like, but I have to go with you. So that's the level where meanwhile my dad's like, let's watch Alien. You're gonna love this movie.
Like, this movie just came out and I've never seen it or heard anything about it besides when I saw the trailer. Let's all go.
There's absolutely no research done with dads. They don't research anything. There's nothing.
None. Like, oh, there's cool metal things and there's an actor that I like in it.
Let's go.
It's gonna be fine. How bad can it be?
Yeah, I just was thinking that because when you said that, I was like, I think that is what it is. It's like dads are like, okay, let's go ahead and watch this.
Absolutely. I think you hit it on the head. I think like it's either dad's letting you watch something or taking you to watch something because, I don't know. I mean, Toby was entirely my mom's fault because we were still living in Mexico at the time and my dad wasn't there and the TV was unguarded and I wanted entertainment. So that's entirely on my mom. But at least that one has like, not robots and arms getting blown off of bodies.
I know. See, like if I was a parent and this movie came out called RoboCop, I wouldn't instantly be like, this sounds like a kid's movie. I'd be like, let me just first be like, is this a kid's movie?
You would ask the questions. These are the questions that need answering. Let's read the synopsis first. Let's see what it's about. Let's see what let's see what Siskel and Ebert say. And then maybe we go. Then maybe we take a look at it.
Yeah. Yeah. And the reason I'm saying, you can accuse me of being sexist. My uncle did this with my sister and I too. My uncle took us to go see the movie Rush about the undercover drug.
Oh my God.
And afterwards, he was like, I probably should not have taken you to see that. Like, yeah, probably not. And he's like, don't tell your mom. But I told my mom when we were adults. When we were adults, I'm like, you know what Uncle Bill did? He took us to go see Rush. She's like, what? I told you I wasn't allowed to see that movie.
At least you didn't narc on Uncle Bill when you were, young. You waited until, years and years had passed. So it's okay.
Yeah. When we were kids, we were like, oh, he's so cool.
Exactly.
I think that was just you guys coping with the trauma. You just couldn't admit that it was like, you were so traumatized.
Of course, this is the same uncle that when I went to my very first concert of Huey Lewis and the News, at Red Rocks, my sister went with her friend to go see Follow That Bird, the Big Bird movie. And my Uncle Bill, because my mom's like, will you watch him while we go to this concert? My Uncle Bill just drops them off at the theater and leaves. 2 young kids. My mom was like, what the?
Oh my God.
And they were so scared when it was over because they're like, where is he? I don't know. Two were little kids. So, yeah. Anyway. Man, the 80s were a time.
No, I was saying it's just so funny. It's just, he just dropped them off and left. And they're okay.
I know.
Bye.
No big deal. What's the worst that can happen? Therapy bills down the line?
Yeah.
I know.
Fine.
I know. Yep. So, Tiff, what's your final one?
So I was going to go with another animal kind of tale, but then, I was jacked up from Benji the Hunt. So this was a film that my dad decided, okay, this is okay for all of us to watch. Rocky IV, height of the Cold War. Apollo is out there. He's living in America. James Brown. It's fireworks. and it's stars and stripes everywhere. Here comes Ivan Drago, big, blonde, robotic, and he beats Apollo Creed to a literal pulp, and Apollo Creed dies. And the only thing that I can remember in that moment, besides seeing Apollo Creed's face, being a pile of mush, was his trainer in the corner, throw the towel, throw the damn towel. And I'm just like, what is happening? This is a lot. And Ivan Drago is talking about if he dies, he dies. And of course, he died, and it's a mess. And then Rocky is thrown into a state of flux. And then he goes and he trains in the Russian wilderness in Siberia, and he's hauling logs up a mountain. And then he beats Ivan Drago in like Moscow in this, highly publicized match. And guess what? He ended the Cold War. So, we got a happily ever after with that, because he did end the Cold War. So that was great. But, Apollo Creed dying, not so great.
Yeah, no. Oh my God.
And once again, the dad.
He had rented it on VHS. Yes, children. He had rented it on VHS.
Yeah.
So we were watching it at home, at least. We weren't like in a theater, but and my mother is sitting there staring daggers at this man, because she's like, why is she in here? Why are you letting her watch this? And he's like, it's not that bad. What? What? Sir, this man's face is on backwards. What are you talking about? It's not that bad. Oh but solidarity, USSR, America, into the Cold War. Yay.
Oh, man.
Oh, man, indeed.
Exactly.
So my last one is this movie that I actually just rewatched this a couple months ago. I think it's still on. It's like on MGM, plus it's also on Pluto and Tubi, so you can watch it for free. And watching it now, I'm like, this is the stupidest movie. And it's called Night of the Comet. And it's about a comet wipes out most of life on Earth, but leaving two valley girls fighting against cannibal zombies and a sinister group of scientists.
Oh my God. What?
And this was another one that a babysitter showed me. And I remember this so clearly because I had some work done on my teeth or something, and I was a little kid, and I went and we never had like fast food or anything like that when I was growing up. And so because I had work done on my teeth, my mom was like, I'm going to give you a treat. We're going to get KFC. So I got KFC, which was like this huge deal. But my mom wasn't thinking about the fact that my mouth was completely numb. So I couldn't even feel like the straw. So got that. And then she dropped us off at the babysitter, and then they rented Night of the Comet. And then I was like, oh my God, this is so traumatizing. Because it's almost like the day after in a way, except for it's a comet. And so it stuck with me so much that every time I heard about comets coming, I'm like, oh my God, that's it. We're all going to turn into...
The end is nigh.
Yes. Yes. And one of the ones that survived, she survived because she was locked in like a movie theater that she worked at in like the projection room. And so that's how she survived. But everybody else, like they were turned to dust, kind of. There was like dust everywhere, except the ones that survived became cannibal zombies.
Okay.
So.
Can I just say the amount of cocaine in the writer's room? I just need to know how much cocaina was actually in there when they were writing this.
You can watch it.
I just love that not only were you traumatized with this movie, but that you couldn't even soothe yourself with some tasty KFC.
I know. Because by the time my mouth was not numb, it was cold. So I didn't get the enjoyment because I so rarely got fast food. So it was like, oh my gosh, KFC. This is amazing.
Double trauma. double trauma. Oh.
Yeah. But there was one scene in here where I was like, oh my gosh, that would be so much fun in real life. So this is when malls were big. So they go to this mall that's empty, of course, and they go there and they start shopping and just buying things and trying on all these clothes. And it's this montage, of them trying on clothes. And I'm like, now that would be the plus side of a comet hit the earth.
There you go.
Free reign of the mall.
Can wear whatever you want, baby. Nobody's restricting you
Not
here.
a thing. Yep.
Yep.
All the leg warmers. All of the leg warmers.
All the leg warmers.
Yep. Well, and this movie now routinely makes lists of when people are talking about B horror movies or B movies or like movies that are so bad they're good. This movie routinely will make those lists. So if you haven't seen it, it is a fun one to watch. It's on, like I said, Tubi and Pluto, so you can watch it for free there. It's also on MGM Plus. So it's really stupid. Like I said, I just watched it for the first time in a long time a couple months ago, and I was just like, this movie scared me because it's so badly done. But
Because it's
hey.
terrifying, but
Yeah. But I was a kid, so what did I know? Okay, well, we're going to take a quick break. And then when we come back, I just want to know if both my panelists think that there was just something different about the 80s that made movies more traumatizing, or if it's just a part of childhood. So we'll be right back.
It's the Smucker's Uncrustables podcast with your host, Uncrustables. Okay, today's guest is rough around the edges. Please welcome Crust.
Thanks for having me.
Today's topic, he's round with soft, pillowy bread.
Hey.
Filled with delicious PB&J.
Are you talking about yourself?
And you can take him anywhere.
Why'd you invite?
And we are out of time.
Are you really cutting me off?
Uncrustables are the best part of the sandwich. Sorry, Crust.
This episode is brought to you by Pluto TV. Summer of cinema is here, and Pluto TV is exploding with thousands of free movies. Feel the explosive action all summer long with movies like Gladiator, Beverly Hills Cop, Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, Good Burger, Stealth, Four Brothers, and Star Trek. Bring the action with you and stream for free on all your favorite devices. Pluto TV. Stream now. Pay never. Stream now at Pluto.tv.
So, Carla, do you think that there was something different about the 80s movies, or was this just something that kind of happens in childhood with certain movies?
I think that there's something special and specific about 80s movies because there wasn't, and it's, it cuts both ways because on the one hand, there weren't so many hangups about, oh, we can't do this because it'll be 2x for this particular viewing demographic. And I don't mean like the racism and sexism and homophobia and all of that. I think it's good that movies and movie makers are being more thoughtful about that. But on the other hand, there are a lot of ways in which movies are less, for lack of a better term, balls to the wall with some things that there's like so much more restraint in some ways that I think it takes some of the joy out of it. And there's also a missing element of just having fun making movies. Now everything has to be so commercial. You have to be a blockbuster or you don't even get a seat at the table. You can't find a distributor, let alone funding to make your movie. So it was more freewheeling in ways that are both fun and detrimental. But I think if there could be like a balance where we're thoughtful about what we're making and putting out into the world, but also letting there be more just creativity and letting people off the leash, so to speak, in ways that aren't harmful. That would be like such a better movie-going experience for a lot of us. And I think that there are some movies that do balance that. There just are not nearly enough of them. Like, I can't even, like Sinners, I think, is one that's a really good example where you have mindfulness, but you also have, it's just like all out in a lot of ways. So I just, if we remove the element of like, it has to be a blockbuster, it has to be a tentpole movie, it has to draw in Marvel numbers, we would see something a lot better. But I don't think it's inherently bad that these movies are so traumatizing. I just think it's about, first of all, parents doing their due diligence when they're seeking entertainment for their kids to watch. And then also the marketing, like you can't market the Brave Little Toaster as a fun movie for children to watch and enjoy, and then have your brave little toaster become like machine meat or something, whatever. I'm not upset about it or anything. I don't even care anymore. But I'm just saying it would be nice. But yeah, like movies like The Goonies. It's so like off the rails. You could never make The Goonies today. There are some things in it that, like, sure, you could probably like do better, but on the whole, you couldn't get a movie like The Goonies because it's not an offshoot of the Marvel Universe. Mm. And that's so sad because we got to experience some really cool, weird as hell movies that, where is that for the younger generations now? They're not going to get a Labyrinth. They're not going to get a Legend, Yeah.
Yeah, very true. So, Tiff?
I do think that, a certain part about it was, the adults in those writers' rooms were like super duper high. And, and we're like, you know what? We're just going to churn out what we're thinking right now. And let's go, baby. Let's give the people what we think they want. And we did get but we got some weird and interesting things that, yes, the trauma still remains. But I think a lot of times we have really good memories about those things as well. It's just, you won't see that sort of thing nowadays because we have gentle parenting. And I think the thing with the gentle parenting is that you can gentle parent without letting kids run all over you as well. And so there's a separation between what our parents did, which was definitely not gentle parenting, and and the things that the gentle parenting people do now. There's a nice in between lane that we can do. So you can show your kids films that you think that they'll like, and that maybe might traumatize them a little, but it's good for your character. It's character building. So I know I can show.
It's just tiny trauma.
Tiny trauma. Like, I know I could show dear daughter Steel Magnolias, and she would love it because she loves stuff like that. But yes, there would be some tiny trauma involved with it. Same thing if I showed the Brave Little Toaster to darling daughter, and I know she would be a weeping mess. But you know what? It's character building. You'll get over it. You'll get over it. So I think, so there's a fine line between the two. But sometimes, like you said, Carla, the marketing for these things, it was like, what were you all thinking? This is not like a fun family film. Like, keep it real about things and let people make the decisions for themselves and for their children. And let's go from that point. But I think there's something special about looking back on this, and we can laugh at it and say, hey, you know what? We made it through. And we're not so off the rockers. We're pretty okay. We're pretty okay. That's what I can say.
I just want to add that I think it also, that some of those movies that we watched made us more empathetic and made us more conscientious of larger issues that were going on. And I don't think that hiding those things from kids is the answer either. I just think that you have to be careful in how you expose kids to that kind of stuff, because certainly you can watch Steel Magnolias with your children, and it's actually good for them to watch something like that where they're empathizing with these characters and, having these feelings, but, just don't spring it on them.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there was something different about this time period. And I think also it can go into the 90s and a bit of the 70s before too. And I think what's happened is that I think in a lot of respects, the 80s has been romanticized. And what people don't remember or don't realize is there was a lot of scary shit going on in the 80s. The 80s was a very scary time. And I think media reflected that. Entertainment will usually always reflect what's going on in society. And I think now it's more in TV. You'll see more of a reflection of that than you will in film necessarily, because I agree. I think for films to make it, unfortunately, they want it to be a tentpole thing and don't like risks and don't like embracing risks. And so I think that's a lot of what was going on, is a lot of the entertainment you were consuming was reflecting a lot of the fears. Like, so much stuff. There was so much stuff about nuclear war and everything like that. It was in a lot of things. And there was also, TV also was traumatizing. We'll have to do an episode someday about traumatizing episodes of television, because there were traumatizing episodes of TV as well. And I think it was just kind of like, it was a scary time. And I don't think media was at this point yet where they were like, we have to gear stuff towards kids in a way that is really kids. They always were still putting in other stuff, even if it was quote unquote kids programming. I mean, even like Pee-wee's movie even had like a scary, traumatizing thing with Large Marge, is like thought of as a very terrifying scene. And so even that, you had stuff that was put in there that seemed like that. But I do think there is something to be said, like has been mentioned by Carla and by Tiff, about how watching this stuff did kind of build character and build, like, it helped with that independence, because we were so independent. And I'm not a parent, so I can't speak to that. But I think especially especially like maybe like Gen Z, or the generation now that are like in their early 20s, I think a lot of them were parented very differently. And it was very much, like you said, Tiff, gentle parenting, and a lot more knowing everything that's going on. And while I understand that, I think there was also a lot sometimes that can be missed when you don't have, like, I'm not saying kids need trauma. I'm just saying when you don't have like things where you're learning about different things in the world, or different dangers, or different differences in people. And hey, the 80s and the 90s were horrible when it came to racism and homophobia and sexism and sexual assault just being marketed as funny. It was horrible with that. But I think with other things, it actually was trying to push some boundaries. And I think it's also because some of the people creating that stuff were people that were trying to fight the system in the 60s, late 60s and early 70s. And so then they turned to media. And I think they were kind of taking some of that and putting it into what they were putting out into the world. So I think it was definitely a different time. It just was a lot different. Plus, the way you consumed media was different than it is now, for sure.
That's true. Yeah.
Which is sad on so many levels, because it just makes me sad that people won't know. Let's have a blockbuster night, that people don't know what that means. So
memories, sweet memories.
It makes me sad. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, we are going to turn over to 6 Degrees of Finn Whitrock. And my requirement on here was to connect Finn to any movie that you mentioned. So did you play? You did, Tiff?
I did, yes.
Okay. So what movie did you what movie did you use?
Well, I used my last one. So I used Rocky IV. So I used Sylvester Stallone, the Sly. He was in Grudge Match with Dane Rhodes, who was in Semper Fi with Mr. Finn Whitrock.
Oh, that movie. Love you, Finn, but that movie, that was not it. We haven't used that one in a long time, though, so that was good. Yay. So, Carla, are you busy putting together one right now?
I have come up with one totally on my own.
Nice.
And that I completely remember to do before this. So, Peter Weller from the traumatizing movie RoboCop was in the movie Once Fallen with Ed Harris, who was in Downtown Owl with Finn Whitrock.
Yay!
All right. Good job.
Thank you. Completely off the top of my head. I don't even know how I did this.
That was amazing.
That cool.
It was amazing. So I used The Day After and Jason Robards, who was also in a movie called Dream a Little Dream, which, if either of you seen, this is one of the Corey movies.
Yeah.
It's like, I actually love this movie, and I know it's not good, but I adore everything about this movie. I've watched this movie so many times. Anyway, I know it's a ridiculous movie that actually doesn't make much sense, but it was a body switching movie, which were big in the 80s. And also in Dream a Little Dream was Meredith Salinger, who was in the show Damages with Rose Byrne, who was in Bridesmaids with Wendy McClendon Covey, who was in Long Weekend with Finn, which Long Weekend is one of my favorite Finn movies. And if you want to, you can watch it right now on Hulu. It's a romance. It's a romantic comedy, a little bit kind of a different romantic comedy, but I like it. Trigger warnings for stuff about mental illness, but it's good. So thank you to Carla and Tiff for joining me on this one. So Carla, if you want to let everybody know where they can find your podcast, okay, real quick, and yourself.
Thank you, Erin. I am happy to announce that OK Real Quick is still a thing and that you can find it wherever you found this podcast. You can also find our social media pretty much many places. There are several social media companies with which we have stuff. So look for @OK Real Quick Pod and you can find us there. You can also find me, my art, and my musings on TikTok and Instagram at Temis. And my website, carlatemis.com. That's CarlaTemis.com.
Awesome. Thank you. And Tiff, where can everybody find you?
So I'm at Who Is Tiff Is Me. I'm on pretty much all the things, but I mainly use It's Fandom Thing Pod's Discord, where we chat it up about lots of stuff, including politics, if that's your bag. We give some distractions after we talk about the politics. We talk about pets because, Fergie the dog, Carla has her kitties, I have a cat. So, we're always about uploading those cute little pictures of them. We talk about theater. We talk about books. Carla just read to a really, really long, boring book, and she tried to get through it. She powered through, though, folks. She powered through. So that's what's up. I'm proud of you, Carla. And yeah. And so, you can just come in and chat with all of us about all of that stuff. So come in, pop in, say hi and hello.
Awesome. Thank you. And Fergie the dog, speaking of Fergie, she loves traumatizing stuff. So she loves watching horror movies and she loves watching true crime. And then she likes to watch Abbott Elementary. And for some reason, she liked watching The Notebook. I don't know. I'm trying not to judge that one too harshly, but she's a cutie. And you can follow her on TikTok at Schroeder and Fergs. That's SCHROEDERANDFERGS. It's long, but it's worth it. To find all our past episodes, links to our social media, links to our Patreon, which for as little as $3 a month, you get ad-free content, episodes a day early, bonus episodes. Sometimes you win prizes. Pretty soon, we'll be getting ready for our horror trivia event in October. So lots of fun stuff over there. So go to our website. It's fandomthingpod.com. Click the Support Us tab there, and you can join the Patreon there. And I am sure many, many of you out there were yelling at us during this whole thing saying, why aren't you mentioning the never-ending story? There's a reason I didn't mention it, and I wasn't sure if Tiff or Carla were going to mention it. But the reason I didn't is we are talking about the never-ending story next week. So that's why we are dedicating a whole episode to talking about a movie that did traumatize us as children. Big time. You all know. And joining me for that one will be my podcast brain twin, Jen, from my streaming bubble. And then also Paula. Paula was going to be on this episode, but Paula instead chose to meet Brendan Fraser. I don't know why you would choose that over us.
It's so weird of her. I mean, I guess it's a choice.
Whatever.
So I can't wait to hear about that. I'm assuming that Paula will maybe bring that up during our pop culture and fandom news episode next week. We shall see. I'm wondering if I already know what I'm going to be bringing up. I don't know why I'm saying Anyway, so next week we will be talking about another traumatizing 80s film. So until next time, remember, it's a fandom thing. Black Lives Matter, Stop Asian Hate, and Free Palestine.